Hello, beautiful mamas. As a working mom, sometimes I can really feel scattered, unorganized, or simply just rushing from one thing to another and all over the place. Finding time for myself and finding my sanity can almost feel like an impossible dream. Can you relate? Well, this is why I have created my free Mama's Guide to Creating Balance and Harmony as my gift to you. This guide contains my top 10 tips to creating balance and harmony in your life, as well as 3 beautiful trackers to help you get onto your journey in a fun and simple way. I have found by incorporating daily self-care routines and practices in my life for as little as 5 minutes a day, I am feeling more grounded, centered, and calm. By me tapping into my best version through these practices, I am also a better mom, a better partner, and a better colleague. Well, really, just a better human being in all the ways. So, if this sounds like something that you would like to explore, click on the link in the show notes below and download your free guide today. We were all born with the innate power of knowing and wisdom within us. The challenge for many of us is that we were taught to seek answers externally instead of searching from within. And this is the reason why so many of us find ourselves going around in circles, searching for new ways, but could never find the way. The womanly way. It's not the way. It's not my way. But it is a pathway to support all of us returning back to self, reconnect with our inner wisdom through loving ourselves, knowing ourselves, and reconnecting with ourselves.
Tell me and be honest. Tell me should I've known.
So we can start to find our own way as modern day women. Are you interested? Well, sit back, relax, and welcome to this amazing journey. Welcome to this episode of the Womanly Way podcast. I am your host, Lala Angela Wang. Oh my goodness me. So today, as we're recording this, is the 24th of November 2023. And generally, I actually don't remember, but Facebook is very good at reminding me. Every year on this day, there's a photo of mine in my memory when I did a French pedicure ready for my wedding. So today was the eve before my wedding day 11 years ago. And when I saw it today, you know what? The first thing was, oh, is it that day already? But the other thing is also, there was just so much gratitude. You know, I am at peace with it 11 years on, but there's just so much gratitude. For me, it's almost like whenever I see that photo now, it's like a very quick trip down memory lane and go, oh my God, look how far I have come. And it had inspired me to record this episode. Oh, I guess one, to share my story, and hopefully that will help someone else, but also just to share what I have learned. And again, hopefully, you know, that whoever's listening to this, that you will be able to find some golden nugget in here. And I think for me to complete the story, I really have to start with my love life, really. And a lot of the things that I've learned about how I used to love since doing emotional work, since doing neurolinguistic programming, since learning about timeline therapy, since doing all the things. So here we go. I hope you're ready for a little bit of Friday night story time if you're watching this live. So if you've been following me for a while, you would know that I came from a very traditional and very strict family. Both my mom and my dad's side come from like military background. So essentially my parents runs the household with military precision. Quite often Scott and I joke about this, and I said to him, this is the difference between how a military household runs their life, especially being Asian, and how your family runs your life. Because every Christmas Day, his family always talked about how they need to leave the house on time and go to his auntie's place on time. But the fact is, all of them have a tendency to be late. Whereas in our household, we're always early, because the way that my parents runs our household is just like, military precision. And my dad is an interesting dad. He is, his star sign is Aquarius. So he's super creative, super out there. But at the same time, he lives with, the constraints and the boundaries that were set in his conditioning. So he's a very angry person. And if you listen to my previous episodes, you would know what I've learned about anger is that we're often angry when we don't get to do the things that we want to do. There's always a part of our, inner DNA that our inner child is always there, right? And there's a part of our DNA that whenever we go against our will, our inner child will come out. And when our inner child comes out, quite often, if we haven't learned to become friends with our relationships, anger tends to turn into explosions. So growing up, I had this interesting dynamic and relationship with my dad. On the one hand, I would do whatever it takes to get his approval. And in fact, for the most of my life, I've been chasing for my dad to say he's proud of me. I still haven't heard him saying that. But I have come to peace with it now. That's just not who he is. But yet there's this fear. I used to be beaten up so much by my dad. So there's this fear when it comes to authority, when it comes to men, but there's also this real desire to be acknowledged, to be seen, to be loved, and to seek approval of. So as soon as I was old enough to date, for my last few years of my high school years, we had internet connected to homes, and there were ICQs and all those online chatting things back then. I have been in and out of relationship, really seeking men's approval, right? Whoever would give me attention, whoever would make me feel seen, I'm happy to be in a relationship with them. And so I would say, without going into too much detail, that my ideal and what I'm seeking in relationships were pretty fucked up when I was younger. right? And looking back, really, it's like you look at yourself and go, Lala, what the hell? Why are you dating these people? I either date guys that are much, much more older, um, or I would date guys that I don't even know. You know, you look and really, if I really, really, really be honest with myself, it was literally whoever was the first person, whenever I'm single, whoever is the person that's willing to be in a relationship with me and give me love and attention, I would date them. That is so sad and so wrong and so bad in so many ways. It was just, you know what? I really think that I am so lucky that I'm still alive. Like a lot of things could have happened to me, you know. It's just, yeah, some of the guys I have dated, it blows my mind why I would date them. Not just because, you know, it's not even about someone's character. It's more the way that I was treated. I used to date this guy who would always be late. Or you just can't, like, he would say, I'm gonna come at 1. At 1 o'clock he's not there. At 1:15 he's not there. At 1:30 he's not there. You call him, he's at home sleeping. You know, or I would date this guy who is just like so spoiled, you know, by his parents. And the way that I would describe him is narcissistic. And you don't often hear me saying that someone is narcissistic. But this is what a true narcissist would do. They would put you down and really attack your personality, your integrity to the point that you would get angry and you would flip at them and then be like, oh my God, you're such a horrible person, even though they're the one that started triggering you. They just know how to poke the right sore spot enough to make you blow up. But at the same time, they will isolate you. They will do whatever it takes to isolate you. So, you know, they would say or do or say or do things that would turn you against your friends, your family, and isolate you. So then at the end of the day, it's just you and him. And that was the relationship that I had. And I think I was really lucky that in the end, we broke up because he wanted to break up. You know, me being me with this not so great relationship mindset, I would keep begging to go back. And that was me, right? I would want to break up with somebody and then beg my way back. So I really do think that I'm very lucky in the sense that I'm still alive and that I got to experience a different way of living. When I first met my ex-husband, it was through a friend. I just got out of a very horrible relationship with a narcissist and I was recovering. I wasn't ready to get into relationships, but I was open to it. So we were introduced by a friend, a common friend of ours. And I really didn't think much of it, except after the first time meeting him, I thought he was kind of cute, like a teddy bear. In fact, that's what I wrote in my blog back then. Yeah, you should try write journal entries on I can't even remember what it was called. I used to have a blog and used to write my journal entry in there, so the whole world knew about me meeting him and thought he was cute. We started dating on my final year at uni at the start of the year. And he was meant to move back to Taiwan, but he because of the relationship, he cancelled his trip. We dated for a year, and then I decided to move to Australia. Unfortunately, he got made redundant or got sacked. I can't even remember what the reason was. He didn't really tell me the exact reason that he got sacked. So he decided he lived in Australia for a few years, went back to New Zealand for family reasons, and then he decided to follow me to Australia and look for new opportunities. And both of us stayed here after my master's degree, more because I just love Sydney, found myself a job. And I really have to say the relationship wasn't the most smooth sailing. His mum was very controlling, and he lives with him 6 months in a year, 6 months at a time. And there were so many signs that, it wasn't meant to be, but I ignored all the signs. There were so many signs that our family values just didn't quite align, but yet I ignored all the signs. In fact, we were about to break up. The first year when I started working in Australia, because I was doing my master's degree and I just started my job, but he had to go and do a day surgery. Now, I came from a medical family, so my dad's a doctor. And so for me, a day surgery is like nothing, right? Yes, you do have to recover. There are, things perhaps you're maybe to do in the first couple of days, but it's just a minor surgery. So I didn't go and visit him. Not only did I not go and visit him, well, I didn't have a car. I refused to go to his house. I didn't even stay for his entire surgery because I had to go to uni. I refused to go and see him because I was so busy and I had to take the train. It was going to be long. And so his entire family literally turned against me and said, I'm a horrible person. I am very selfish and blah, 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 blah. Anyway, so we were about at the verge of breaking up. And I backed my way back. And I said, let's work on it. And I had to prove to his entire family that, I'm not as selfish as they will think I am. And I remember, down the track, I was getting close to my 30s and we were dating for about 4 years. I was like, maybe we should get married. And he's like, oh, no, I'm not ready. I don't think you're ready. And at the end of the day, what he was basically saying was that, well, he literally said to me that, if he is to score me on suitability of being a wife, I wouldn't score a pass at all. I'll be under 50. I mean, if it's me today, if it's any of my girlfriends, I would have said, no. Are you kidding me? You're actually scoring me on a level of whether I can be a wife or not, and you're telling me that I'm not even like satisfactory. But no, I stayed. I backed my way. I worked my ass off in order to be not under 50. But then we started looking for a home to live together. And I said to him, I will look for a home with you, because his mum was considering moving to Australia. And I said, I will look for a home with you, but I am not contributing unless we want to get married, because I knew, to buy a house together is a financial commitment, and wasn't willing to be with somebody who's not willing to commit with me to buy a house. And he's like, oh, but, this is like me committing to you. But I'm like, no. And I think that was a good thing about me. I am not, from an investment perspective, I would never invest if I'm not sure about a relationship. If I know that things that have an opportunity or possibility of turning into shit, and the likelihood is high, it's very likely that I won't invest. That's just, common sense, really. So he proposed on our 4-year anniversary. It was very sweet of him. It was at the Hilton Hotel in Sydney. He decked up the whole room. We were about to go and watch Wicked and have an amazing night together. But in my mind, when he proposed, there was doubt. There was a little voice going saying, no, that's not what you're doing. In fact, so our anniversary was on the 26th of February, I still remember. In fact, that Christmas prior, I actually bought myself a ring. I'm just like, you know what? This ring is going to remind me, a diamond ring, a little tiny diamond ring. This ring is going to remind me that I don't need a man to buy me a ring. And that was when I stopped asking him when he's going to propose. And he proposed. So when he proposed to me, there is this tiny voice in my head going, no, you can't do this. It's not, no. But there's another part of me. It was like, I have to do this. This most unromantic man just proposed to me in the most romantic way possible for him. And we're about to go and watch Vivid. And if I said no, he's going to go home and tell his mom that I said no. It's just going to ruin everything. And so I said yes. We've decided to have a long engagement so we can organize everything properly to save money. And I did a lot of research. I literally pretty much organized the whole wedding. I did the flowers, I did everything, and we also have overseas weddings as well, or ceremonies, because his families are overseas, my family are overseas, and then we all have aged grandparents and family members. But it seems along the way, it doesn't matter what I do, it was never good enough for his mom. And I still stuck through it, throughout the whole engagement. They were just like little signs that it just wasn't the right fit, where, he would say something and instead of be the bridge between his mom and me, he was the one making situations worse. And so whenever there's argument, I'm always the one left out. I'm always the one that having to apologize. I'm always the one wrong, even though sometimes I'm really not. And the only time that his mom would want to be on my side is to want me to. It's when the two of them have an argument and he needed someone to take her side. So I thought it would get better. I thought after we get married, things would get better. I thought my relationship with his mom would get better over time. But it didn't. It got worse. I felt worse. And towards the end of the marriage, it felt like the marriage was just a business transaction. A lot of our discussions, our values on money is very different. And whenever his mom's over, I feel like I'm the mistress and his mom is the wife. So in the end, I felt like I'm going home and I just want to be alone. And we're lucky enough, the house that we lived in had 2 stories. So I used to hide downstairs a lot. Some nights I don't even want to sleep next to him, so I would go and sleep in the guest bedroom. And we didn't even have sex, for about, I think, 2 or 3 years. I didn't feel attracted to this man anymore and really felt like I'm sleeping next to a very good friend of mine. And if you know me well, I'm actually not a very good liar. when I reached the point of I had enough, it was that obvious he knew. So he confronted me. He confronted me one day around this time in 2014. He said, "What's going on? You have been so cold to me," and it just, and in fact, back then I stayed at work a lot. I would work, and then I just left that's another story for another day. So I just left the company that I'm currently working on and then went for a small developer out west in Sydney. But I would still, after work, swim by to the project that we're on and catch up with my old colleagues. The truth is, I was having an emotional affair, right? This guy at work that I really liked. And so I would go and, hang out with them so I can spend more time with him. And so I don't have to spend time with my ex-husband. So he became suspicious because I'm rarely home. And he's like, "Are you cheating on me?" And I said, "No, I'm not. I'm not." Because I wasn't physically cheating, The reality is I was emotionally cheating. And so in the end, I said to him, "Look, I just had enough. This is not working. This relationship is not working. I feel like I'm living at home with my best friend, and that was it. I'm not attracted to you anymore. My heart's not in this marriage anymore." And he said, "Well, then why did you say yes when we married?" And I said, "No, well, I shouldn't have. I shouldn't have said yes, but I didn't want to disappoint everybody, so I did. And I'm sorry." And that's the reality of it. And so I said, "I think I need to move out and think about this clearly early next year. You are going home to Taiwan to your mum. I am going to New Zealand and spend time with my family. That's just, I think I should move out and let's just live under separate roofs for a little while and think about this." So we did. I started looking. I found somewhere just before Christmas and was going to move in early in January. When he came back from Taiwan, we had a chat and he's like, "This is not working. I rarely ate. I've lost a lot of weight. It's just not working. I think if you're moving out, then we're getting a divorce." So that's what happened. That's what happened. We got separated in January, and then we started selling the house and started the process of getting divorced. A lot of people would have thought that life got better after that, but life didn't. For me, a lot of my friends back then were his friends, so I couldn't talk to them. Most of my good friends are not in Australia, so, I have very small group of friends. And out of the very small group of friends that I do have in Australia, some of them thought that I was the biggest bitch ever. So I only really have one or two friends that are really close here in Sydney that I can lean on back then. I'm so grateful that I had them. And the rest of the times, I really rely on the internet. I rely on WhatsApp and, Facebook Messenger with all my friends overseas that supported me through the periods. I started drinking, I started smoking. just to get through. If you really think about it, our entire life, there's rarely an opportunity that we get to be alone and all alone on our own. When we're at home, we've got our family. When we moved out, we may have housemates, right? Unless you choose to live on your own, we're rarely truly alone. In that period of time when we first got separated, I was alone a lot. My scariest moments are at night when I had to go home all alone and all my friends are asleep. That's the worst time because I couldn't talk to any person. And it's those times my thoughts are with me and I'm just constantly looping and blaming myself. That was when I became suicidal. I remember I was sat on my balcony drinking wine and looking down and go, I wonder what would happen if I just jump. And I often say this, right? My parents saved my life because during this whole time, all I can think about is that I can't do this to my parents. Can you imagine as a parent picking up the phone and hearing people saying, a stranger on the other side of the phone and say, hey, I'm calling about your daughter, Angela, and she jumped off the balcony and she's now dead. You need to come and collect her body. That would just be a parent's worst nightmare, wouldn't it? So I couldn't do that to them. And so they saved my life. They really and truly saved my life. And I really had to go through that darkest phase of my life. And then one day just literally feeling like, you know what, enough is enough. I have enough of being miserable. I need to get out of this. And so I did. And one thing led to another. Through a series of events and my social connections, I got introduced to personal development. And I hired a coach to work on relationships. Now, truly, like when I first met her, I didn't really know what coaching was about. All I knew was I had horrible relationships. And that's what got me thus far. And in order for me to change the trajectory, I need someone who can show me a different way. But remember, she said to me, even if this, at the end of the day, even if we don't find you your soulmate, because that was my thing, I want to find my soulmate. And she said, even if we don't find you your soulmate at the end of our 6 months, I want you to know that you're about to fall in love with the most important person in your life, and that's you. I was like, what's this thing? I just want to find a soulmate. I just want to find a soulmate. What's this thing about falling in love with myself? I really didn't understand it. And it took me a very, very, very long time to understand it even after our sessions, because I didn't find my soulmate after our sessions. And I thought, I've done 6 months of personal development. That's enough. Like, I don't need to do any more. And that's when I started my business. And I remember my first session with my business coach. He then said to me, a business can never outgrow the psyche of its owner. You are about to do more work on yourself than you ever thought. And I'm like, what do you mean? I've only just come out of 6 months of, coaching and mentoring and personal development work. I don't want to do more personal development work. He said, well, then don't do business. Because as a business owner, really, it's just a constant working on yourself. And the more that you work on yourself, the more successful your business become. And I really have to say, he was right? That was late 2015, about this time in 2015. And I have not stopped doing personal development work. I have not stopped developing myself, growing. I have not stopped working on myself since then. But it still took me so many goes to finally find my soulmate. And I have no regrets, right? For me, it was like, in order to find what my soulmate, who my soulmate is, what my soulmate look like, in order to learn to love myself more first. And that really is the key. We need to love ourselves first before we can find our soulmate. I had to experiment, right? I think that's one of the things with my life is everything is an experiment. I am birthed onto this planet to experience so I can share my experiences as lessons learned. So I've dated quite a few guys since I started my search for my soulmate. And every time it will be different. Every time I will learn from it. That's the difference between me dating in my 20s and me dating in my 30s. With this newfound perspective, every time it's a growth. Every time it's an evolution. And every time I will look at it and go, why did it work and why didn't it work? And the more that I learned about relationships, the more I learned about me, the more I learned about my relationship with my dad. And what I realized was I spent my entire life trying to seek everyone's approval. But ultimately, what I'm really trying to seek is my dad's approval. But that's because I thought my dad's approval is my approval to myself. So for me to approve of me, I wanted my dad to approve me. So to, I guess, break that pattern, all I needed to do is approve myself, right? Easier said than done. It did take the longest time ever. But when I finally realized my worth, when I finally realized, you know what? It's not that I'm not good enough for men. It's that I just haven't found the man for me yet. Because I've been so desperate and I've been so busy looking for approval rather than looking for the right man. So I think it was in 2017, I came out of a relationship where the guy was having his own issues, his own emotional issues, and his own works that he needs to work on. We ended the relationship on Valentine's Day. But it took me a very long time to recover and finally decided that I was ready to date again. But what really was different in this last breakup was that I allowed myself to heal. I didn't monkey branch from one relationship to another and using a new relationship to heal my wound from the past relationship. And not only that, I truly, truly, truly worked on what I needed to learn from that relationship. And that is the desire to fix men. I have a habit of wanting to fix men in my life. And what I had realized in that relationship is unless I let go of the need and desire to fix men and to rescue men and be the mother, and be the mother, I will never find a relationship that I truly desire, because I will always be the mom. I will always be the one that gives more than I needed to, and being treated like doormat. So I think it was by August that year, under the Lionsgate portal, I knew that I was ready. So I started doing the works again that I have learned from this relationship coach of mine, and doing all of my spiritual practices, my personal development practices, and really focus on doing all the things that I knew. I started manifesting, I started writing my list, I started talking to my soulmate as if it's there already, and I started work on myself even harder so I could be the best version that I am, so I can be this person that I'm manifesting. This is the thing. Our internal landscape reflects or projects onto our external landscape, right? So manifesting 101, if you want to manifest something, you need to become the thing that you're manifesting, or become an energetic match of the thing that you're manifesting. So for me to attract my soulmate, I need to become the energetic match to the list of things that I wrote down on who my soulmate is. And so I did that every single day. And when Scott came into my life, I kid you not, I was not seeing him as soulmate material. We were just friends. I had a mastermind. I was looking for 6 people, and we were one short. So my friend who was in the mastermind said, "Oh, what about my friend Scott?" So I full on interviewed him to make sure that this person coming into my mastermind is qualified, is suitable. And I stalked him on Facebook. So we started talking. It wasn't until January that year. So we met online. He came and joined my mastermind in October, but we haven't met in person. Apparently, according to Scott, he was quite fancy me. He thought I was kind of cute. So he started pursuing me, very kind of laid back-ish, thinking he's cool, calm, cool, and collected, and I wouldn't notice. I did. So we started meeting each other, going out in January, and then my grandmother passed away. So I had to go back to Taiwan for, I think it was 2 weeks. And over that 2 weeks, we were talking each day. We were kind of like dating, but we were not. And when I finally came back to Australia and caught up for, the first time after I came back, I kind of gave him an ultimatum. And I said, "Look, what's this thing? We're either together in a relationship or we're not, because I'm not interested. I'm 30, I think I was 33 then. I'm like, I'm ready to step into a serious relationship. I don't want to play around anymore." So on Valentine's Day, 2018, we became an item. Now, is this relationship, smooth sailing from day one? No. That we had to work through and learn from each other? Yes. But I think the beauty is when you have 2 people that have both worked on themselves, worked on their shit, and understanding personal development, understanding how the human brain works and how people react based on their past experiences, you will find ways to make it work. And that's what we did. We could be hot-headed both at the same time, But I think we know enough to know that we can always come back and talk things out, right? There's no need to fight and argue. We can always talk it out. And that has been really the agreement that Scott and I have coming into this relationship, is that we can argue, we can have, disagreement, but the agreement is we'll go away and calm ourselves down, and then we will have a civilized discussion, and then we will both learn from this and improve on this point. And I think that's what really made our relationship work. Like, we probably have our fair share of challenges over the past 6 years. I'm grateful that Scott is an amazing partner, that he'll do anything to make this relationship work. And I'm grateful that both of us have done the work, enough work to know how to have a productive conversation in a relationship. So really what I've learned from my journey is that it really all comes back to self-love. It really is. Even now, being a partner, being a mum, it still comes back to self-love. The more I love myself, the better of a mum I am, the better of a partner I am. The more that I can make my love tank full and fill over, the more love people around me will get. And it's just this, this circle of life. I love myself, I receive more love, and then I give more love, and I receive more love, and I give more love. It's as simple as that. But when you don't love yourself, what you find is your tank gets emptied a lot quicker. And so you're love deprived. And when we're love deprived, quite often we could be the most bitter, angry, and just hard to please person on the planet. So if you're on the path to look for a soulmate, if you have been in and out of relationship, nothing seems to work, as harsh as this might sound, there really is only one common denominator: you. And my suggestion, and this is from my personal experience, is really to find yourself a mentor, a coach, or just, don't go to a friend, certainly don't go to your family, because they won't be able to give you an objective point of view. And my suggestion would really be to focus on working on yourself with a coach or with a mentor, focusing on healing all those parts of you that thinks that you don't deserve love, or, all those parts of you that need to be healed, and let go of your burdens, your baggages, your trauma, whatever it is that's causing you to subconsciously sabotage your relationship. And really work on becoming the best version of you. That's all it is. The more that you work on yourself, the more you become a better version of you, the better version of your soulmate you'll be able to attract. This is just me reflecting on my lessons learned and all the things I've learned on this path to seek my soulmate, to find my soulmate relationship. Yeah, it took me a long time because I am thick, right? I'm a slow learner and I am thick, and I have to learn from my mistakes. It also cost me a marriage, right? But the beautiful thing about this failed marriage is that it allowed me to learn how to love. how to love myself, how to love others, and allows me to now share my experience. So hopefully you won't have to go through it again. Hopefully you won't have to go through it alone. Hopefully you won't have to go through it at all. So how can I not be grateful? How can I not be grateful to my ex-husband? For he was actually pretty gracious compared to some of the other stories I've heard. You know, there are things that are just like a little bit annoying, but in general, it was a very amicable divorce. So I'm grateful for that. In fact, I actually I saw him and his family in a shopping center about 3-4 weeks ago. I went and hide. I just think, sometimes it's better not to stir up any past memories of others. It's better not to. I just think it's best that we leave each other alone and that we leave each other's family alone. Obviously, Scott's fine, but like I don't know what his wife is going to react, and I don't know how he is going to react. I just think the past is in the past, and we're better off leaving each other alone. But I'm sending him and his family and his 2 beautiful boys, or maybe 1 boy, 1 girl. I don't know. I think he might have 2 boys. I couldn't quite tell from the distance. Wishing his entire family so much happiness, so much joy, and so much love. And I just have so much gratitude for him, for the way that he handled it, for the way that, he just let me be after this whole ordeal, and for the opportunity that he has given me to allow me to be a better person and going through this relationship with myself, growing my relationship with myself. Ultimately, it was a second chance in life, and he was the one that gave it to me. So I am so, so, so grateful. On this day. Tomorrow would have been our 11th year and wedding anniversary. And there's so many memories over the past 11 years. And I've learned so much, and I'm a much, 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 much better person because of it. Really, all I'm feeling today, all day, is gratitude. So thank you for listening, and I hope, you enjoyed this episode. You may have gained some knowledge. It might just be a beautiful entertainment and storytelling. But hey, that's my story, and I hope you enjoyed it. Love you all so, so, so much. I will see you next time. Bye.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of The Womanly Way. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this podcast if you feel aligned to do so. Or check out our post-show discussions on my Instagram page @The Womanly Way. See you next time.